This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Breakaways, welcome back to Beyond the Pond. This is going to be about 10 minutes of the most cogent, telling, prescient hockey talk you've ever heard in the history of 9 to Noon. The Genesis, yours truly, has all the albums of Beyond the Pond. I like Kevin as the Vox. I like Pat Micheletti as the analyst, bombastic as he can be. Brett Blakemore is the producer of that each and every Saturday from 10 until noon. And 10 until noon, right?
Correct.
Or 9, yeah, 10 till noon. And like I've heard it a bunch of times, but like I'll hear fall in his throat of Brett's Breakaways. And Brett Blakemore does a wonderful job with these little hockey topics. So I'm like, hey, open segment before the Finchy replay. Let's do some breakaways. What do you got?
It's time for Brett Blakemore's Breakaway.
Kaprizov, nobody got to catch him. Kaprizov, score!
Nice job, man.
And now, Blakemore's Breakaway.
Halvey just does such a good job with that. You have to play it.
Yep.
It'd be insulting if you didn't.
How about Halvey's goal calls in those high school games?
Unbelievable.
Right, I mean, he does a good job with the body of the game and everything, but the touchdown calls, the game-winning baskets, the game-winning home runs, the goal calls, those need to stick out. And Zach is really, really good at calling goals, man.
0-8, worth the wait for Moorhead. Genius.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, good for him.
All right, here we go. Well, the update is no update on Kirill Watch because I'm refreshing Russo Twitter as often as I can.
Yep.
But the Wild had to do picture day today, which delayed the start of practice.
Have you refreshed? Have you gone F6 or F3 or whatever on Sarah's from the Star Tribune? Maybe she beat Russo Radio on it.
That would be insane.
No,
I could.
No, she has nothing. I mean, excuse me, on this topic. I refreshed it. There's nothing.
So if it breaks in the next 10 minutes, I'll keep you abreast of that. But here, let's go here.
Well, just on 97.
Okay.
Vox in the Box tomorrow.
Yes.
Hines at 9 a.m. So John and really all the coaches have been very kind to 9 to Noon in honestly and truthfully answering certain questions that we present. Like, who's your goalie tonight? You know, what about this? What about that? So, I mean, I'm gonna hit him with 97 out of the gate. We'll see what he says.
Can't wait. Breakaways typically is when I can just kind of go anywhere I want. It doesn't have to be Wild related or anything. But I think we can have a good conversation about this. So Ovi Breaks, as you know, broke the goal scoring record all-time NHL, passes Wayne Gretzky.
The grade 8.
Now, I can't remember. It was a couple weeks ago where I think Fallness came out on Beyond the Pond with this big Sidney Crosby's in my Mount Rushmore. You know, it's summertime, so Mount Rushmore, classic. And I think hockey has the most heated Mount Rushmore discussions.
Yes.
Because you get guys, how do you not include Lemieux? How do you not include Gordie Howe? How do you not include so-and-so?
Ken Dryden.
Correct. To me, this... Do you have to put Ovi in the Mount Rushmore now?
Oh, wow.
I feel like you have to.
Well, Gretzky has to be in it.
Well, Gretzky is without a doubt.
Yep, Sidney. Yeah, Sidney. You see this? I mean, it's like NBA Mount Rushmore, okay? It can be the same conversation. Jordan and LeBron, they're 2 of the 4.
Correct.
Okay, well, what do we do with Wilt Chamberlain? What do we do with Bill Russell? What do we do with Willis Reed? What do we do with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Get back to Magic Johnson, the East Lansing kid who came into the game in '79, played center in the NBA Finals against the Sixers because Kareem had migraines, and Magic went out there and helped him win it as a rookie. So there are a lot of things like that. Hockey, man. I mean, hockey is so much more deeply rooted, or as deeply rooted as that, because what do you do with Guy Lafleur? Okay, now he's probably not in it. Okay.
Rocket Richard.
Maurice Rocket Richard. Gilbert Perreault.
Correct.
Okay, so I've heard about this Triple Crown line, Marcel Dion, Charlie Simmer, and Dave Taylor. I got to look into that to see if one of those guys needs to be on the Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. So who are your 4?
That's a great question. I feel like you have to go... Well, Gretzky, without question.
You have to have a goalie. You have to, because it's such an important... It's like...
Then you'd go Brodeur. It
would be a Major League... The starting pitcher in Major League Baseball is the most important part of the equation, even in a game against the Yankees, and Aaron Judge is the A topic, because the pitcher can intentionally walk him and put him on an O for whatever with X amount of walks. So like a baseball Mount Rushmore, a pitcher has to be part of it. A goaltender has to be part of it with hockey.
So I would go Brodeur then in that case, just all-time games leader. I think it's a safe bet.
Big time.
But I think my point of this is, if you're the all-time goal-scoring leader in the league, period.
Yeah, you're on it.
You have to be on it.
Yeah, because the game's about goals.
Correct. That is how they score the game.
So the game's about goals, Ovi. The game's about assists. Gretzky, goals and assists.
Yep.
You got Marty B. So then, not Cardi B, but Marty B. And then you got that coveted third spot, which is a freaking meat grinder, because if you just give it to Sid, which I kind of think you should, well, I mean...
Well, what about Gordie Howe? What about...
But that's fair.
Yeah.
That's a fair... Boy, the NHL Mount Rushmore is a grinder. You're right.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's go here. The Flames go to Anaheim tomorrow night. It's like a 9 o'clock puck drop. Yuck. But we could, if they win that, which they should, we're probably going to have a win-and-in scenario on Friday in Calgary against the Flames. There's 2 schools of thought here. There is the negative side. Wow, the Wild had one of the best starts in NHL not history, but they had one of the best starts in the league this year.
Yeah,
they were first in the NHL for a handful of months. Kaprizov, Hart Trophy, all that.
Yeah.
How did we get to this point where we're playing for our lives in the last week of the season? That stinks. Or B...
Well, see, the first one's not even a talker, because when that was happening, did Joel Eriksson Ek play in the games?
He was.
Okay, well, that kills it right there.
Yeah.
Because of how important he is as a two-way player. But also, there's nothing we can do about the results or outcomes of those games in October, November, December, and January. It's like talking to Finchy earlier. I brought this up with him last week. It's a loser's lament to dwell. You're sitting here in this grinder trying to get out of the play-in, but man, if you had just beaten crap Washington, if you had just beaten horrible Utah, if you hadn't lost to Indiana when it was down 5 starters, but you can't do that, because if you dwell like that, well, then it takes needed energy away from the task at hand, which is right in front of you. So I'm a recency guy. Now, if I'm the general manager or owner of the team, and I'm sitting down talking about new contracts or lots in life, then I'm like, all right, Brett, great job this year. We made it to the first round. We got beat by Winnipeg. I know we had injuries. Injuries and everything. Tell me about what happened here, say January 9th. Okay, we got this record and this on the road and then this. And then I let the coach explain it. And then I have whatever discernment God gave me in my heart, it hits me like I believe it or I don't believe it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't even need to hear the second school of thought because it's current, it's recency, and that's where all the gaze is cast right now. We got time for one more. Come on, give me a fast one.
Let's do one more.
Oh, wait. Brett's bet.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a Brett's bet for tonight? Not that we can spot up in this state, but I just like the alliteration of Brett's bet.
Well, I'll give you two. One, I would fade Giannis. If Giannis is out, I like, 5 points, 5.5 points for the Wolves. Like that spread.
Yeah, Wolves giving. Wolves are favored.
Correct.
On the road.
If Giannis isn't playing,
all right,
give me that.
Okay.
And here's one. This is off the board. How about Rory McIlroy in the Masters? Plus 650 is what I saw.
Damn.
He's won 2 events this year. He's been in the mix for a couple more.
Wow.
I think this is the year he finally breaks the major drought.
Here's my response.
Why don't you give me half the money you were going to bet? Then we'll go out back, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
Genius.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Brett's Breakaways and Brett's Bets. Brett's Breakaways and Brett's Bets, courtesy of the 9 to noon presentation and provided by... Hey, Steves, did you guys leave yet?
Hello?
Brett needs a cooktop.
Hello?
Finchy, Chris Finch, if you missed it earlier, we think it was good. Hopefully you did too. And if you missed it, we're going to replay it around the corner. You're listening to the Fan.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, is he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Finchy, weekly, 9 to noon. Wolves and Bucks this evening. Started our weekly chat with Chris Finch today by saying that game last night, holy cow, I assume you watched.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I did watch most of it and felt like a, kind of a typical Florida win. That's the way they kind of won through the tournament. They turned it over a lot, were able to survive their turnovers. They used their bigs to get things going, and Clayton seemed to be clutch every time they needed it. And they matched Houston's physicality and defense, which was, no one's really been able to do to that level through the tournament. But it was an outstanding Final Four. It was fun to watch. Most of the tournament kind of went, as chalk would have predicted, but
right.
The Final Four was pretty exciting. A bunch of really good games.
And with all the ones making up the Final Four, Houston and the way it beat Duke, that it's like the next game, the championship, I didn't see an ascension. I'm like, okay, maybe they'll level out, but there probably will be a slight regression. The way they played up until those final 3 possessions where they went turnover. I mean, that was amazing how Houston was able to do what it did against Cooper Flagg and those guys, and then find a new level to push those Gators to the wire. That was so impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was impressive. And that's who they've been all season. I mean, as well, they've been that way since Kelvin Sampson got there. I have a lot of admiration for Kelvin. We worked together for 4 years in Houston.
Wow.
He's an outstanding coach. He's really built something special there at Houston. Resurrected a program that when in our time growing up was Really fun to watch, powerhouse. And I actually picked Houston to win it all. I thought that for this year they have defense. That usually works in the tournament. But this year I thought they had enough shooting and scoring to be able to kind of survive some of the bad nights that they'd had in the tournament with their inability to score in years past. I thought they had more of that, and I knew it would be a low scoring game. It'd be physical, it'd be slow paced, but it was impressive, and felt bad for those guys that you couldn't get a shot off at the end, but sometimes that happens.
Last one on the college vibe, and the Houston guard couldn't get the shot off because of your guy Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, just about ready to pack it. Holy cow! What kind of player do you think Clayton Jr. is going to be in the NBA?
Yeah, he's really obviously helped himself in this tournament, move up in the draft board. Looks like he has physical, the physical nature to kind of come in and be able to compete physically right away. He's clearly clutch. I like that he's got a pretty simple game. He makes big shots. He can play make. He can shoot coming off pick and roll. Defensively, like I said, he knows how to use his strength well. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be good in the league. I do. I really think he's going to be a really good piece. Probably doesn't have the playmaking and some of the intangibles that a Freddie Van Fleet has.
Right.
But it kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Fred's run in college. I think Fred's was probably a little bit more spectacular in a little ways, but to me they're pretty similar when I watch them play. The winning DNA that comes to the top is far outweighs anything that they supposedly can't do.
Right. Freddie Van Vliet, Rockets. He actually makes the chat today if we have time. This is the first time we've chatted with you, Chris. Embedded deep in Cheesehead territory. How is the town of Milwaukee? I've never been.
It's a nice town, to be honest with you. It's a sneaky nice town. Well, we're a quick stop through, and it's our 4th out of 5 games on this road trip. So got a big one tonight. Got a beautiful arena, one of the newer ones in the league, as you know. This area of town they've redeveloped around the arena. It's called the Deer District. Seems like there's a lot going on. Hopefully we can make it as fun inside the arena as it is outside the arena.
With the Philly game over the weekend, did you have a bunch of family and friends there, given you're from that area?
Yeah, I did. Had a big contingent. It was great to see everybody. Got a lucky break in that we were in Philly for 3 nights, so was able to spend a lot of time with people in different contexts. And other than the win on Saturday night, the highlight of the trip was went to the Dodgers-Phillies game on Sunday. Had a suite with a bunch of friends, and it was a phenomenal game. It felt like playoff baseball. It really did.
Yeah, it was a high scoring game too. I think Glasnow pitched for the Dodgers, and that guy's really, really good, and they got to him. And with Saturday, I'm really glad you guys won for multiple reasons. Off what you just said, Chris, bad game to take an L for multiple reasons, but it makes it weird for people to come see you after the game. Had you lost the game, right?
Yeah. One of the pressures of having friends and family in town is that you really want to win, so you're in a good mood to enjoy being with them.
Right.
I know we should be more mature than that, but sometimes you can't divorce yourself from those things. So,
amen.
But yeah, we didn't play our best basketball. We took a hero shot to kind of ice it. We gotta get our offensive rhythm back. We gotta get some things going defensively, but I feel confident we'll bounce back tonight. We had a great practice yesterday at Temple. Might be our last, real practice of the season, so to speak. And it came at the right time for our guys. We had great energy yesterday.
A quick story, as an aside off what you said about friends and family at a game that, hopefully you win, because if you don't, it gets weird and people will get uncomfortable after the game with those sneaky passes you and Freeman get people. But late in 2018, all right? The Vikings are at the Bears on a Sunday, late 2018. So Saturday night, me and a couple of Vikings PR guys, Sam Newton and John Ekstrom, we go to Bulls Toronto, courtesy of Bulls head coach Fred Hoiberg, who I adore, and I've known Freddie for a couple of decades. So to land the plane, this is 2018, and the Raptors win over Freddie's Bulls by 39 points. And Fred VanVleet was unstoppable in the game, and Kawhi Leonard didn't play. So we used those sneaky passes Freddie gave us to go say hi, which was a bad call. I mean, they just lost by 39. He was apoplectic and super sad. We were in the room for like 30 seconds because we could read the room. So we darted out of there, and I think I got a selfie with Bobby Portis, and we called it a night. So that was the genesis of me really, really pulling for you in that Philly game for multiple reasons, but I knew you probably had friends and family there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So yeah, that's an extremely accurate story to the experiences that we've all had.
Hey, speaking of Fred VanVleet, break up the Rockets, seriously. I mean, beat a red-hot Golden State squad. What, I know you're not, breaking down the all 10 of the Rockets on your free time, at least at this stage of the equation, but you're an elite NBA mind. These Rockets, what makes them so good?
Well, there's a couple things that make them really good. One is they guard defensively. They're really good. They've taken massive steps forward in their ability to defend. They figured out a way to kind of help Sengun and protect Sengun defensively, which allows them to play him offensively. And he's a mini Jokic. I mean, he just can score at so many different levels. He can pass. He really distorts your defense from the middle, which is, you don't see every single night. They're physical. They have an identity. All these things are outstanding, characteristics of a really good regular season team. And I'm not to say that, they won't make a playoff run or whatever. That remains to be seen.
Right.
But they've really solidified who they are. Every single night they know who they are and they play to that. And that carries you through 82. And then finally, on top of that, they have a chip on their shoulder. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder, and that chip is driving them. I still think people probably look at them a little bit like, okay, well, yeah, maybe there's not the differential amount of talent that they might need to be considered a true contender, but They take that personally. They take it personally, and then they come out and they punch you in the mouth, and they play aggressive. Their coach has a chip on his shoulder. It carries through to the team, and and they play like that every single night, and not many teams do. So add it all up, and it makes them an extremely dangerous squad.
How about Sunday? Speaking of the Rockets, the Dubs, the Golden State Warriors lose. All right, I'm like, yes. But you fell in the standings while not even playing. How crazy? What the heck?
Yeah, my favorite days are when we rise in the standings and we don't play. Those are my favorite days. And we need more of those. But yeah, I told the team yesterday, I was like, of course you have to pay attention to what's going on around the league. It's kind of fascinating, and if not highly relevant. But by the same token, we got to worry about ourselves. We got 4 games left. Let's put them all in the win column, and everything will fall out and be as it should be. But it's wild. I mean, you one night you don't play and you move up in the standings. The next night you don't play, 2 teams in front of you lose, and you move down in the standings. So it's all due to tiebreakers. We own a lot of tiebreakers, but there's a few that we don't own.
Right.
Or there's when they build these mini tables of 4 and 5 teams. Then it's how have you done against all those teams in the mini table? So at that point in time, it is what it is. You can't go back and, do anything different, but, we still got a chance to win 50 games, and we got to get these last 4 starting tonight.
And it looks like the Lakers are going to get the 3. I mean, you guys beat Denver in double OT and just put them on a negative spin. Holy cow! And so off what you just said is that sounded great. Is that the players are conscious of what's in front of them, but like the A topic is winning games and getting out of this play-in scenario, right?
Yeah, that's certainly the goal. I think it's all we can really control right now, and everything will be as it'll be. I mean, I think some of those teams have to play each other yet coming down the stretch as we do. We play Memphis later this week, but those results don't matter as much if you don't take care of business on your own end.
Right. Chris Finch, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and Prize Picks. A few more here to close. What do you think about tonight? Apple Valley's Gary Trent Jr. got you guys earlier this year, and the Bucks are locked into the 5 or the 6. What do you think about tonight?
Yeah, it's all about Giannis. Not to say that they don't have other good pieces around him, but he's the headache. Again, he creates a lot of, matchup disadvantages, if you will, and you got to figure out how you're going to cover those. And you got to be able to put your body on the line to keep him from getting to where he wants to go. And then, got to cover up the shooting that they have. Last time we played these guys, they had no Giannis, they had no Lillard, and we allowed the Trent Juniors and others to get hot. And as we know, and we've experienced several times this year, whether it be a Indiana team or a Utah team or one of these teams that once they start seeing the ball go in from 3, it seems to, energize them. And then the next one goes in, and the next one goes in. So you gotta make sure that you're taking care of all the shooting. I just learned yesterday, and stupid of me not to know this, that Anthony's technical foul bit resets in the playoffs. So with 4 to go, I mean, it's just get him to the wire and that final Utah game, right? Obviously, absolutely can't have one anytime soon. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about it. It does reset. And he's done a good job of, course correcting here down the stretch. So, which is good. It proves to me that, he can play with more self-control a little bit. Being able to control his reactions to things that don't go his way. Ironically, though, he's seemingly getting to the free throw line less. So I don't know what to make of it all right now, but we need him to stay trouble-free, so we have him available every night. That's the most important thing. Interesting.
Which way do you think the refs go on this? I mean, do they give him grace because you're near the wire, or go quick trigger with nary a care in the world?
I mean, I think to be fair to the officials generally at this point in the season for everybody, because there's, these games are so valuable across the board. They've been very kind of understanding and gracious. I think you see some tempers boil over. We saw that a week or so ago in our building, and we've seen it around the league. They've done a really good job of managing those situations. I have to give them full credit.
And lastly, and you kind of touched on the free throws, but the last 3, it's been good, man. Anthony's last 2 games, he's hit 11 threes on 48% shooting, and in his last 3, he's gone to the line 20 times. So nearly 7 a clip. We absolutely would take that for the next couple of, say, months, wouldn't we?
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, his efficiency has been really high in the last couple games, which is good. Means he's getting to good shots and spots on the floor, playing within the flow of the offense for the most part. And, I think, he's benefiting from really good offensive decision-making right now.
Tear it up, my brother. Thank you very much for the time. We'll chat soon, okay?
Anytime, PA. Take care. Thanks.
T-Wolves Bucks this evening, assumedly on KFAN. This one's on KFAN this evening. Wild and Sharks on KFAN tomorrow. And we thank Chris Finch for his weekly inclusion, 9 to noon. We will put a wrap on the show around the corner and preview Vox in the Box tomorrow when we return for the final segment, 9 to noon, Talker Tuesday.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
KFAN. Good job today, bud. Enjoy working with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any Kaprizov steam since the breakaways?
Yes, and it's not over. I mean, it's positive. He's in rushes, but he's not.
He's in Russia?
No.
If he's in Russia, that's nothing
that
but
would be
negative
really
news,
bad news,
including for the playoffs.
Correct.
Cock de la Ochichorny.
He's on the basically extras line, so he's not skating with the top four lines. He's on a line right now with Eriksson Ek.
Yeah.
And something named Brandon Gauntz. So
there's no. It's
not looking good for tomorrow.
No banging, no what's the word I'm looking for?
Non-contact.
Thank you. No contact, right?
He's been cleared for contact, but that would appear to me like it's probably not going to happen. It's not over, but it's not a good sign.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. I mean, because you get the win Sunday, and then if you believe. If I'm Heinze and I believe my team is tired, because I got the Devon Shores and Declan Chisholms and, like Hinostroza. I mean, Hinostroza, sometimes I watch him. Man, holy cow. What an effort guy, but I don't know on average how many minutes he's playing, but it's probably more than he would play or the others would play if you were going to full strength. That's debatable, always were. So if you believe that your team has a little fatigue factor to it, you play Sunday, you're done, let's say 4:30 or 5. You got all that night off yesterday, back today, but it's it's not a game. So they got another day to rest their legs at a key time of the season. And, San Jose comes in here and it's hockey and we got puck luck and everything. So obviously you can't jack around with anybody in the world of the NHL, like in the NBA right now. And this happens every year. It's just embarrassing. When you get to the final 10 days of the season, maybe final 13, 14 days, copyright Dan Cole, the common man in the program, then like New Orleans, there are certain teams, San Antonio, I mean, they're getting beat by 30 almost every game. It's just a non-competitive situation. You can do that in basketball. You can't do that in hockey, or else somebody might be lost for the next season due to injury. If you ain't paying attention, if your head's not up. So, yeah, they should beat the Sharks, even with the current iteration of the Wild. Would you agree with that?
They should. There should be 2 points.
So then if you got Kaprizov out there on the extras line, at least he's out there again. And now you have more time up to what you talked about earlier, the potential winning in against Calgary.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense. Really, for both of them, Kaprizov for sure, but perhaps both of them to return in that Calgary game. So you got a Wednesday, and then you travel, then you got Calgary. They're all big, but that's bigger than big. You feel me on this?
Yeah.
Like dust off one of them or both of them in that game. Now, but see, then you get into the narrative of, all right, well, is he going to need a race? Are they going to need a race? Are they going to need a game? Are they going to need 2 or 3 games? Hey, he normally wouldn't have jacked that up, but he's coming off a long layoff. So you got to give him grace. I mean, if you mess something up because you're just getting back in the mix and Calgary goes on an odd man rush and gets the biggest goal of the game, that's problematic. Just a lot of things to think about right now with the Wild Covenant, right?
Yeah. Bill Guerin put all of his chips on the Kaprizov and Eriksson are coming back, slot, so to speak.
Yep.
They didn't make a move. Now, granted, the prices may have been extraordinary and they wouldn't have been able to make a move anyways, but they could have shut them down for the season on LTIR, brought them back for the playoffs, and skirted the salary cap if they wanted to.
The Kucherov rule.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or the Mark Stone rule.
Yeah.
They decided not to, and they said, Kaprizov wants runway into the playoffs. We think he's coming back. So I'm not saying if he doesn't play on tomorrow, oh no, they wasted everything, but he's got to play.
Yeah.
Because you've made this bed, and to get the payoff that we wanted of that runway, he's got to start. Now, the question I would have is, do you want him knocking the rust off against a very important Flames game, potentially, where it could be a winning in or losing out, could be situation?
It ain't going to be a losing out. The Calgary's too far back.
No, it's possible.
Is it 4?
It's possible.
Yeah.
If the Wild continue to lose, but it would certainly put a huge dent in the playoff race for sure. Or would you rather play him and knock off the rust against a Sharks team at home?
Right.
So I would kind of lean towards tomorrow, but that's because I'm going to the game and I want to see Kaprizov play.
The Blues. Your Blues had the audacity to lose a game last night. They lost to Winnipeg. What was it, 10 or 11 in a row?
Yeah. I think it got up to 11.
Right. So we'll see if there is with St. Louis, there's going to be a regression to a mean here. Yep. Maybe Winnipeg put some film on them that some teams can now utilize. I don't know if the Blues were down players last night. I didn't watch the game. I just know they lost. And they never lose. They hadn't lost in like 3 weeks. So the Blues lost last night. So that's kind of cool for the Wild. And finally, as voice of the Vikings and you, Double B, a tried and true Green Bay Packers fan, it behooves me to close the presentation wondering, in case we don't do this together before the draft, what do you got? The Packers in the draft, first round. What do you think?
I think if it wasn't in Green Bay, I think they may move back. But I think even because of that, I think they might still stay.
Right.
What
pick do they have?
I want to say, off the top of my head, 24 or something like that.
Yeah, we're 24, so somewhere around there.
I'm getting them confused. They're in that ballpark, either one before, one behind. I like edge rusher. I probably wouldn't go wide receiver, but they'll probably do something boring like another offensive lineman.
Oh, no, that's the end of the radio show. No more elaboration on Green Bay Packers football and the upcoming NFL draft. Sorry about that.
Dang it.
But thanks a lot for today. I appreciate you.
Of course, anytime.
He's Brett Blakemore. I'm Paul Allen. Thank you for listening to the 9 to noon presentation on a Talker Tuesday at FM 100.3 KFAN. Here comes the program. Have a great day.
We got 'em.
Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.